Welcome back, everyone. Today I have with us Marla Heuhmer. Marla was previously a school psychologist, but now is the founder of Think Ahead Kids, as well as the author and illustrator, and is busy doing other things that I'll let her catch you up on. Welcome, Marla.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be here, Dori.
Oh, it's great to have you, Marla. Would you like to tell our audience kind of what else you're starting to work on?
Sure. So aside from writing books and illustrating them with my kiddos, I also own Think Ahead Kids, which is a company that supports authors, fellow authors, independent authors who are trying to get their work out there. And I thought we had such a great amount of authors who are interested in letting us share their work. I thought, what are other ways that I can also help those authors out there that don't know how to write their own book or put their book together or find an illustrator? So we are actually creating a publishing company, and that is what's going to be happening for available for people if they want to get their word out, their message, some story that they're working on. We're really interested in stories that are written, from families. Because I write my books with my children and we illustrate them, so I think that's really important to have people out there who are writing their books with their families, or even who have children who are writing books. And as I know, a lot of them have a great message, and so we want to be there to hear their story, and we can help them edit it and critique it and make it sound even more fantastic. So that's what we're working on right now.
That's amazing. And you're really focused, I think, in part on how kids feel in your own books, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I think the reason why we wrote our books was a learning experience. So, being as a school psychologist, I stopped working and decided to stay home with my kids, and I decided, what can I do every day with you that's going to make your brain grow? That's going to help you down the road. So, so we decided to write a story together, and then it grew into, let's cut our pages out. Let's illustrate our own book. So I think it was just a really great educational and a mental health kind of support. Just getting their brain growing in all the great directions. So that's the reason why we write our books, is and why we share books from other authors, because we want to provide support for families, like an educational support and also like a mental health support in a way too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think when you have that experience of creating something together, it's such an accomplishment, not only for the kids, but the whole family. It's something you can really celebrate. So that's awesome.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's boosts their self-esteem, that's for sure. And they feel credible and valuable. They feel valued. And I think that when you have your child feel some value, then they're going to have more success in life.
Yes. So are there mistakes that you think parents make that are, let's say, bigger than other mistakes?
Yeah, so I know I love this question because I was talking to my husband about that question, and so I came down to my reasoning is, okay, speaking from personal experience too, because we all make mistakes, right? So there's not pointing the fingers that you're all doing this terrible job, but I think initially, I think we react too fast, sometimes, and I think we look at our child and we think, they're so intelligent. How do they make that simple mistake? And so you might aggressively kind of correct them, and I think what's the best thing to remember is we need to stop, take a second, and say, okay, why did they do this? Did they have a bad day at school? Did they not eat their lunch? Did they feel defeated with schoolwork? Right? Did they have a peer? What are they carrying inside them that is making them make that mistake? And then also, when you do an action, you're kind of like you have to have the ability to know what's going to happen ahead of schedule, right? If you make that action. And a lot of kids, you have to remember their brain is not fully developed. They're healthy, super intelligent child, yes, but their brain is still growing, and the part of their brain in the front is called the prefrontal cortex. That doesn't get fully developed until their late 20s. So, and that's the whole area of the brain where you are thinking ahead, planning, making a decision, kind of knowing what's going to happen if you make that action, right? And they don't have all that. So you kind of have to stop yourself and say, okay, maybe I need to uh, calm down and know that they look very smart and they're great kids, but they just haven't got there yet. So the best thing to do is just kind of tell them, okay, I noticed you did this and this happened. But what are a couple of other things that we can do differently, right? And then think about what is that outcome going to be. So they think that's the thing we need to focus on. Those simple things. Stop yourself, ask them, okay, I see you did this. This was the outcome. What are a couple other things we could have had done differently? And then what would that outcome have been?
Right. I think sometimes we think that they logically think through what the consequences are, but because they're not necessarily doing that, is it more for them their choices? Are they more emotionally based, or just kind of like a quick decision without any thought whatsoever, more impulsive?
Yeah, I think you have to also ask yourself too, does your child have any underlying, mental health issues, I guess, too. So, there's kids that could be impulsive, like with children with ADHD or even Asperger's. I think specifically ADHD, they just, think, well, they react before they, before
Yeah.
they, before they think. So, yeah, but I think that yeah, so that's I think that you have to think about their underlying mental health issues to see if there's something else going on. But I don't think ever that there's true intent, that they're really making that mistake to harm you in any way, overall speaking. I just know from my experience when I see kids, because I've always worked with children that had disabilities or behavioral issues, so I never really saw them as a child that's really intently trying to be bad. I think
Right.
it's it's what the cards that they've been dealt with. Also, they're what's probably they inherited. But yeah, I hope that answers the question a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Actually, because I think, like you were saying, their brains are not fully developed, so those emotion awarenesses, we'll call them loosely, they're not as
Yeah.
keen to those. So in my mind, I'm thinking, since I'm a children's book author and an illustrator, also, um, we both
Mhm.
love books. Are there resources that parents can grab a hold of and help their kids understand the emotions that they're feeling and help them make better choices that way?
Oh yeah, I think for sure. Like when I think back at my school psych days, I would bring the kids in, and we would like if it was a quiet little kiddo, we would kind of open a book and talk about a book, and we would read a story, maybe read a few pages, and then it would kind of break the ice, I guess you could say, and we start talking about things. And I find a lot of books, even like on our website on thinkaheadkids.com. I kind of select books that I feel that are, emotionally supporting to families and children, and I we have books on there that help kids with anxiety, feeling left out, because that's a big one too. um, Grief, attention problems, like a big change in their life. So I think that when you sit down and read those books with your kiddos, it gives them a sense of relief, like, oh, this is a feeling or emotion that's common. It's not just me feeling this way. So they get to see that emotion, and then they get to see the outcome of that emotion in the story as well. Because a lot of the stories that we have on our site, they'll talk about the problem, but then they also talk about how to resolve the problem. So I think that's the biggest benefit of books, because if you can strike up a conversation, sometimes parents will be like, okay, we talked about what's wrong with you, but where do I go with this? Yeah, how am I going to help you? How am I going to give you the answer that you need to this behavioral problem? And a lot of books, I think, have that, and then it'll give parents the idea to start saying, "Oh, okay, I can try this with you, and let's try that together." So I think it just helps both the parents and or guardian and kiddos too. Oh, and we also have books about helping kids with understand children with autism, how to be appropriately have the etiquette to deal with children with autism or disabilities, handicaps, and things like that. So yeah, books are amazing. They're great. I can't go on about how great they are. You see, they make kids smart so too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're a little biased, but I definitely agree. And I think your website is fantastic. The thinkaheads.com website is fantastic for it's a great resource for parents for sure. So if you were going to give
Thank you.
parents, oh, absolutely. If you were going to give parents your best advice, kind of like a takeaway, and you're trying to help the parents teach their kids to express their emotions, what would you say that best piece of advice
Uh-huh.
might be?
Well, you know what I do with my kids. So, a lot of kids, they're dealing with so many different things and their hormones and everything. They're changing, right? that I will kind of see how they're doing from their physical appearance. And then if I think something is bothering them, I'll kind of maybe talk about my day. And sometimes maybe if I need to make it up a little, like, God, I had this terrible day. I had this fellow coworker or something, and we just had a bad experience. It seems like I feel like I'm trying to do this with it. Give them a little scenario where they're like, oh yeah, that happened to me. It kind of makes them feel like, oh wait, that's what happened to me today. So you kind of just, being a mom, you're intuitive. You kind of know what's maybe going on with your kiddo. And then you just talk about your day, kind of figure out maybe if I give them an example of my day, maybe it could be what happened to their day. And if it wasn't, maybe we'll start them talking anyways. And then also with my kids, what I do is I use and still I will use stuffed animals or puppets. Like I have this little guy here, so
I love
I
it.
will grab a puppet. I will grab a puppet, and then I will also give my kid a puppet, and then I will make a little scenario, if you will, and then they'll talk about the scenario together and how the puppets resolve that problem, you know, and then so they'll do it themselves and figure out how to solve the problem on their own. But then we will do it appropriately. Like there's the problem, and this is how to handle it appropriately. So I like puppets, stuffed animals, anything to get the kid, because as soon as you bring something of a different element up, it seems like it's less stressful, right? To talk about your emotions and things. So
Right. Those
that's
are
that's what I
great.
do.
They are
I
great.
hope
And
it answers the question.
oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, and you actually have, we didn't even talk about this on your website. You have a link to all the stories, or like a lot of them at least, that are enacted by your puppets, right? You and your kids' puppets.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. I know. Yeah, it's taking us quite a while to get through all the books because there are so many. So we have quite a bit even going out to the next year, but and then we've slowed down a little bit because it's school time now, so we're trying to do puppet shows every other week or so. But yeah, so we tell the story. The authors, we read their story and present a great PDF of the story, and we have our puppets interacting and they do funny little skits and I know kids love them and are watching them. And I actually saw somebody who watches our shows put up their kid doing their own little puppet show, so I know it's influencing them and it's getting them to think, if that little kid can do that, I can do it too. So I guess it's kind of like giving kids confidence, and giving them a voice when they raise that puppet, so but
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's a great they're great story time episodes. I know a lot of people enjoy them, and yeah, and so hope we can get out there more with them. It's really hard in the market of video games and iPads. It's hard to get out there when it comes to books. It's how do we bring them back? I'm trying to think, how do we reel them back into liking books? So I thought, let's do some puppet shows. So maybe they'll like stories then.
I think your puppet shows, not only are they adorable and fun to watch, but I think they would bring up a lot of opportunities for parents and kids to talk, and then to even go back and look at the book and spend time in it. So I think together that definitely is a fantastic combination.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Great.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Marla. We're going to have to stop for today, but we will bring you back.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.